The darkness of uncharted space stretched endlessly, dotted with distant stars that shone like scattered diamonds. Captain Ilara stood on the bridge of the human warship Vigilant, her eyes fixed on the star map glowing in front of her. Despite the silence of space, the hum of the ship's engines was comforting. It reminded her that humans had made it this far, and they had done it with skill, courage, and relentless determination. This was not a mission of conquest. Humans had only ventured into this distant galaxy to explore, to see what lay beyond their own borders. Yet the ship they had built, the Vigilant, was unlike anything anyone had seen. It was fast, durable, and armed in ways that seemed impossible for a human crew with limited resources. Ilara touched the control panel, reviewing the ship's status. The shields were at full capacity, engines primed for maximum output, and the weapon systems ready. Yet even as she checked every system, a part of her worried. Humans had not tested the warship in battle before. They had designed it for defense, for exploration, but never for true combat. "Captain," Lieutenant Arik spoke from the navigation console. His voice was steady, but there was a hint of excitement. "Sensors are picking up something unusual ahead." Ilara leaned forward. "Unusual how?" Arik's fingers flew over the console. "There's a fleet approaching." "Not human. I don't recognize the technology." "It's large, organized, definitely military." Ilara's heart beat faster. Humans had not expected to meet an organized alien fleet so soon. "Show me," she said. The main screen shifted to display a formation of ships, their metallic surfaces gleaming faintly under the light of a distant star. "They're Zytherian," Arik said. The name sent a shiver through the bridge crew. The Zytherian Dominion was known throughout nearby galaxies for its vast fleets and advanced technology. They had dominated countless star systems, subjugating planets and civilizations with relentless precision. And now here they were, staring at humans in uncharted space. Ilara took a deep breath. "Alert the crew. Maintain our course for now. Let's see how they react to us." The Zytherian ships moved with precision, forming a perfect arc in front of the Vigilant. Ilara studied the sensors, noticing that the fleet's weapons were inactive but fully powered. It was as if the Dominion had spotted something they did not understand and were unsure how to respond. Meanwhile, far away, on the central command of the Zytherian Dominion, alarms blared in a chamber filled with holographic displays. High-ranking officers rushed about, scanning reports from their scouts. The largest projection in the room showed a single human warship unlike any Zytherian design. Commander Thalion leaned forward, eyes wide. "This is impossible," he whispered. "Humans cannot build warships like this. Our scans show advanced weapons integration, structural efficiency, and adaptive shields beyond anything they should possess. It defies everything we know." A junior officer spoke up, voice trembling. "Sir, our scouts reported minimal resources on their homeworld. No allies of significant technology. How could a human ship reach this level?" Thalion's face darkened. "I do not know, but we must prepare for every possibility. If humans can build one ship like this, how many more could they make? And what if they are not alone?" Back on the Vigilant, Ilara felt the tension rising among her crew. No one spoke, but every glance conveyed the same thought. Humans were far from alone in this galaxy, and yet they had survived against odds that should have crushed them. Lieutenant Arik broke the silence. "Captain, they're moving closer. Shields are reacting to their scans." Ilara nodded. "Maintain course. Keep the defenses ready but avoid aggression. Let's not start a war we cannot yet control." The Zytherian fleet hesitated, scanning, probing, trying to understand what they were looking at. To the humans, it seemed almost comical, the way these mighty warriors were unsure how to react. But for the Dominion, it was panic. Commander Thalion and his council argued heatedly. "We cannot engage them directly. They are faster than any ship in our fleet," one general shouted. "Yet we cannot retreat. What if this is only the beginning?" Thalion's eyes narrowed. "Prepare all units for reconnaissance. Send spies to study them. We must know how humans built this ship before it becomes a threat we cannot contain." Meanwhile, on the Vigilant, the human crew continued their work. Engineers monitored energy flows, weapons calibration, and navigation. Even without knowing the full intentions of the Zytherians, humans remained calm and confident. They had one advantage the Dominion did not yet understand: their creativity. "Captain," Arik said again, "I am not exaggerating. They are scanning every module of our ship, every subsystem. I think they are trying to figure out how it works. Ilara smiled faintly. Let them try. They will not understand. Humans build in ways no one expects. Adaptability is our strength, not just technology. Suddenly, the vigilant sensors picked up small energy pulses approaching from multiple directions. Drones? No. These were probe ships, small and fast, sent by the Dominion to investigate. Divert our energy to shields, Ilara ordered. Prepare countermeasures if necessary, but do not fire unless absolutely required. The small probe ships approached cautiously, scanning the vigilant in detail. Every maneuver the humans executed seemed to confuse the Zetherian designs. The humans were not using brute force but clever tactics, constant movement, and adaptive shield patterns. Each small adjustment made the probe's calculations unreliable. Far across the galaxy, Commander Thalion's panic deepened. They move unpredictably. The calculations fail. How is this possible? They should not know such tactics. One of his advisors leaned forward. Sir, I fear this may be a human advantage. Their minds are different. They do not rely only on preset strategies. They innovate. They adapt. Thalion's hands clenched. We must not underestimate them. Send orders to our fleets to hold position. Gather more intelligence. Do not engage until we know their capabilities fully. Back on the Vigilant, Captain Ilara watched the Zetherian probes retreat. We've made our presence known, she said. They now know humans exist here. But they still do not understand us. That is our advantage, Arik grinned. They may never understand us. Every time we think they will catch up, we are already a step ahead. Ilara allowed herself a small smile. Humans have always thrived when underestimated. That is why we survive, why we explore, and why we build what others think is impossible. The Vigilant continued its journey through the uncharted stars, moving silently but with purpose. Far behind, the Zetherian Dominion's fleet struggled to comprehend a single human warship, its panic spreading like wildfire through their command. Rumors and fear whispered across the Empire. Humans cannot build warships like this. Yet here they are. And in the quiet bridge of the human warship, Captain Ilara knew one thing clearly. The galaxy was about to change forever, and humans would be at the center of that change. The stars ahead were vast, full of unknown dangers and unimagined opportunities. Humans would face challenges unlike any they had seen before. But they had the greatest weapon of all, their ingenuity, courage, and unyielding spirit. And the galaxy, for all its empires and armies, would soon learn a lesson that no calculation, no fleet, and no weapon could teach. Never underestimate a human. The human fleet moved quietly through the edge of Zetherian-controlled space, the stars streaking past as they traveled at high speed. The Vigilant led the formation, its sleek hull cutting through the void, followed by a few smaller human ships designed for scouting and rapid response. Captain Ilara watched the instruments closely, her mind alert. The humans knew the Zetherians were nearby. Every distant blip, every anomaly on the scanners could be a scout, a patrol, or a trap. They had seen the initial probes, and the Dominion's panic was clear even from this far away. Humans had no illusions about what they were facing. They were vastly outnumbered. But they also knew something the Zetherians had yet to understand. Ingenuity and adaptability could outweigh numbers and firepower. Lieutenant Arik leaned over the navigation console, eyes wide with focus. Captain, we have movement. Patrol ships, maybe a dozen. They're scanning, trying to find our exact position. Ilara nodded.
Keep a steady course, Arik. Make subtle adjustments, small, unpredictable changes.
They'll waste energy trying to calculate us. The patrols moved in formation, sensors sweeping the area. The humans could feel the tension in the bridge. Every crew member was alert, knowing that one mistake could be costly. Yet there was also confidence, a quiet calm that came from knowing that humans had faced impossible odds before, and survived. Suddenly, the Zetherian patrol ships split, attempting to flank the humans. They were fast and heavily armed, confident that superior numbers would overwhelm any resistance. But the human warship was built differently. Ilara had overseen the design personally. It was modular, adaptive, and capable of maneuvers that the Dominion had not even imagined. Prepare countermeasures, Ilara ordered. Deploy decoys, but keep our formation tight. Let's see how clever they really are. The human engineers on the Vigilant worked quickly, Small drones, previously used for exploration and maintenance, were repurposed as decoys, emitting energy signatures that mimicked weapon systems and shields. The Zetherian patrols hesitated, unsure which signatures were real and which were false. Arik grinned. "They're confused, Captain. Their formation is breaking." Alara allowed herself a small smile. "Good, keep them guessing. That's what humans do best." The battle did not come in the expected way. The Zetherians had counted on overwhelming firepower, a direct strike that would destroy anything weaker than their main fleet. Instead, they faced unpredictability. Humans used the patrol's assumptions against them, forcing them into mistakes. One small human ship, piloted by Lieutenant Mara, darted forward. Her craft was tiny compared to the Zetherian patrols, but fast and highly maneuverable. She zipped between the enemy ships, creating a series of visual and sensor illusions that further confused them. "Lieutenant Mara." "Report," Alara said. "They're overreacting to every move we make," Mara replied. "It's like they can't process our tactics. We're making them waste energy and time." Alara nodded. "Exactly. Humans do not rely solely on force. We rely on thought, creativity, and flexibility." The patrols fired energy beams slicing through space, but the humans' maneuvers and decoys kept them safe. The smaller human ships used temporary cloaking fields, disappearing from the Zetherian sensors and reappearing at unpredictable angles. Each time a patrol attempted to flank or corner them, they found only empty space. Meanwhile, in the Zetherian command, alarms blared. Commander Thalion stared at the projections with disbelief. "They are avoiding us? How can a human ship evade our scouts with such ease?" A senior officer hesitated. "Sir, their movements, they are unpredictable. No fleet formation we know can adapt so quickly. It's as if they are thinking ahead of us." Talion's hands tightened into fists. "Humans cannot think this way. No race with limited resources could produce such a ship, such tactics. We must gather more intelligence immediately." Back on the Vigilant, Captain Alara kept her crew focused. "Maintain adaptive maneuvers. Prepare the weapons, but only as a last resort. Let them come to us." The Zetherian patrols, frustrated by their inability to corner the humans, began to spread out, trying to cover more space. This was exactly what the humans wanted. The wider the patrol spread, the harder it was for them to support one another. "Captain, we can push them now," Arik said. "If we create a concentrated strike on the lead ship, we could force them back without any real risk." Alara considered it. "Do it. But remember, they're still stronger than us in raw numbers. We need precision and strategy, not reckless attacks." The humans launched a coordinated maneuver. The Vigilant and the smaller ships converged on the lead patrol ship, using speed and energy diversion tactics. They created an illusion of multiple targets, while concentrating their real attack on a single point. The Zetherians, unable to respond in time, were forced to retreat slightly, their formation disrupted. "Status report," Alara said. "All patrols are disengaging," Mara reported. "They're regrouping, trying to reassess." "They did not expect this." Alara allowed herself a satisfied nod. "Humans have always survived by thinking differently. That is our greatest weapon." In the Zetherian Dominion, Commander Thalion's panic grew. How can this be? They are outnumbered and still controlling the encounter. Their ships, their tactics. It is unlike anything we have faced. One advisor whispered. "Perhaps humans are evolving faster than we realize. Their minds are dangerous." Thalion's eyes narrowed. "Dangerous indeed. Send orders to all nearby fleets. Monitor them, but do not engage until we understand their capabilities. We cannot underestimate them, not even for a moment." Back on the Vigilant, Alara and her crew took a moment to catch their breath. The first contact had been successful. They had demonstrated that humans could survive, even against an enemy vastly more powerful. "Captain," Arik said quietly, "they're not attacking directly, but they're still watching us." "That means they know we're a threat," Alara nodded. "Yes, and we must remain ready. Humans are clever, adaptable, and fearless. We will continue to show them that even the strongest empires must respect ingenuity and courage." The human ships continued their journey, leaving the retreating patrols behind. The stars stretched ahead, full of unknown dangers, uncharted systems, and new opportunities. The humans moved forward with confidence, knowing that their greatest strength was not their technology alone, but their ability to think, adapt, and surprise. As the Vigilant sailed into deeper space, The Zetherian Dominion began to tremble. Across the galaxy, fleets were being prepared, reports were being sent, and leaders were debating strategies. Every moment the panic spread. Humans could not build warships like this. And yet, here they were, alive, unbroken, and ready to face whatever the galaxy could throw at them. Captain Alara looked out at the stars, her reflection shimmering in the bridge's glass. She felt a mixture of pride and determination. The first contact had been made, and humans had emerged stronger, smarter, and more resilient than any enemy could have expected. The galaxy was wide and full of uncertainty. But one thing was clear: humans were no ordinary race. They were thinkers, innovators, and survivors. And the Dominion would soon learn that humans' ingenuity could never be contained, controlled, or predicted. The stars ahead promised adventure, danger, and discovery. And humans would meet it all, with courage, creativity, and an unyielding spirit that no empire, no matter how vast, could ever underestimate. The Vigilant and its small fleet glided through the black expanse of space, its engines humming a quiet, steady rhythm. Captain Alara stood on the bridge, eyes scanning the starfield beyond the glass, reflecting both anticipation and determination. The first encounter with Zetherian patrols had proven humans could survive and outthink their enemy. Now it was time to turn survival into advantage. Lieutenant Arik approached the captain, his expression a mixture of excitement and focus. "Captain, our systems are operating perfectly. The adaptive shields worked flawlessly, and the decoy drones performed beyond expectations. If we continue on this path, the Zetherians won't know what hit them." Alara nodded. "Good. But we cannot rely solely on one ship or even one tactic. Humans must innovate constantly. That is how we survive, how we thrive. Begin preparations for fleet upgrades. We will need more than just defense if the Dominion comes for us." The humans' fleet, though small, was efficient. Engineers and pilots worked in unison to refine the modular ships, adapting them to new technologies and battle tactics. Every system was tested for speed, agility, and resilience. In the past, humans had relied on brute force, but in this galaxy, creativity and strategy were more valuable than raw power. In a nearby star system, on a recently colonized planet, engineers had transformed mining vessels into reconnaissance and stealth ships. Asteroids that once provided minerals were now shields and decoys. The humans used the environment itself as part of their fleet's strength, blending innovation with necessity. Captain Alara stood before the engineers, reviewing plans. "We need to push beyond conventional design. Humans survive because we can think ahead, adapt quickly, and improvise. Every ship here must be more than a weapon. It must be a solution, flexible and unpredictable." Arik joined her, pointing to a holographic display of their new fleet layout. "We've created modular units that can switch roles depending on the mission. Attack, defense, reconnaissance, all in one design. It's efficient and versatile." "The Zetherians won't expect this." Alara smiled faintly. "That is the human advantage, Arik. We learn faster, adapt better, and innovate where others see limits. That is why the Dominion will underestimate us, and that is why we will succeed." Far across the galaxy, the Zetherian Dominion was struggling to understand the humans' growing capabilities. Commander Thalion pounded a fist on the table, frustration etched across his face. "Our scouts cannot predict them. Every time we think we know their strategy, they do something new. How is this possible?" A junior officer hesitated. "Sir, their ships are modular. They can change roles, weapons, and tactics mid-battle. And the crew? They seem to make decisions independently, without following preset commands. It is unpredictable." Thalion's eyes narrowed. "Humans cannot be this adaptive. They should be predictable, limited by their technology and resources. Yet they are, advancing faster than we expected. Prepare all fleets for engagement, but proceed with caution. Underestimating them has already cost us credibility." Back on the Vigilant, Captain Alara watched a simulation of the next potential encounter. The humans were preparing for every scenario: ambushes, direct attacks, and multi-flank strategies. Each plan relied not on sheer force but on clever positioning, energy redirection, and unexpected maneuvers. Lieutenant Mara, piloting one of the smaller ships, joined Alara on the observation deck. "Captain, the Zetherians are building larger fleets in response to us, but they are still slow to adapt. Every time they prepare one strategy, we find a new way to counter it. They will never see it coming. Ilara nodded. That is exactly why humans survive. We think creatively, act boldly, and adapt faster than any enemy expects. That is why the Dominion fears us, even without understanding us fully. In the following weeks, humans made their presence felt across several star systems. They avoided large-scale confrontations when possible, instead focusing on creating advantages. Resource depots were fortified using minimal materials, energy shields were enhanced using planetary power grids, and fleet communication was made secure and untraceable. One human warship, smaller than the Vigilant, carried out a mission to disrupt Zetherian supply lines. Using speed and stealth, the ship bypassed the patrols and disabled several resource stations without a single casualty. The humans did not seek unnecessary destruction. They sought efficiency, innovation, and strategic advantage. When Zetherian scouts reported the loss of these stations, panic spread through their ranks. Commander Thalion's voice trembled with frustration. How can humans strike so precisely? They should not have the resources, the knowledge, or the skill. Yet they are everywhere, adapting faster than we can respond. Back on the Vigilant, Ilara studied the latest reports. They are trying to predict us, she said, but prediction assumes patterns. Humans do not follow patterns. We learn, we improvise, and we adapt. That is why they cannot anticipate our moves. Lieutenant Arik added, We've even started retrofitting older ships into multi-purpose vessels. A mining ship today could be a fighter tomorrow. They have no idea we are capable of this. It gives us an enormous advantage. Ilara's eyes glimmered with pride. Yes, human innovation is our greatest weapon. We may be small, but we are unpredictable, resourceful, and fast learners. The Dominion's numbers mean nothing against that. Meanwhile, Zetherian fleets scrambled to respond. Battleships and cruisers were redeployed, patrols reinforced, and spies sent to analyze human technology. Yet the humans' methods remained opaque, confusing even the most experienced Zetherian engineers. A Zetherian admiral whispered in private, They build so quickly, and with so little. It is as if they are always 3 steps ahead. They do not merely fight. They think, innovate, and anticipate. This is dangerous. The humans continued to push their advantage. Ilara led them through uncharted regions where Zetherian supply lines were vulnerable. Using asteroids, nebulae, and gravitational anomalies, humans created traps and diversions that no conventional army could foresee. Each encounter reinforced the lesson. Humans thrived where others failed, not by raw power but by ingenuity. Captain, Mara said, the Dominion is sending larger fleets now. They may think that numbers alone will intimidate us, but we've learned from every engagement. We can handle this. Ilara's gaze was steady, confident. Exactly. Let them bring their fleets. Humans do not fight like others. We adapt, improvise, and overcome. Our advantage is not in weapons or numbers, it is in our minds. That is why we survive, and why we will continue to thrive. As weeks turned into months, human settlements expanded, and fleets grew, all designed to maximize flexibility and innovation. Every crew member, engineer, and pilot contributed to a system that was more than a fleet. It was a living network of ideas and strategies. Commander Thalion, observing the humans' progress, grew increasingly desperate. They are everywhere, striking with precision, adapting faster than we can track, he said. Every attempt to predict them fails. If we continue like this, we will be outmatched not by their strength but by their minds. In the Vigilant, Ilara addressed her crew, her voice calm but filled with authority. We have seen the first signs of fear in the Dominion. This is not our victory yet, but remember, humans do not fight like others. We survive not because we are the strongest, but because we think differently. That is our edge. That is our advantage. Arik looked at her with admiration. Captain, they can never match our creativity. They do not understand it, Ilara nodded. Exactly. And that is why humans will continue to change the balance of this galaxy. Let the Dominion panic. Let them underestimate us. Every move we make will teach them a lesson. Humans cannot be predicted, controlled, or defeated by conventional means. The stars stretched endlessly before the fleet, filled with unknown dangers and opportunities. But humans moved forward with confidence, knowing that their ingenuity was greater than any army, their creativity stronger than any weapon. The galaxy may have been vast, but humans were ready to make their mark. And as the Zetherian Dominion struggled to comprehend them, Captain Ilara smiled faintly. She knew one thing. Humans' greatest strength was not technology alone, it was their mind, their spirit, and their unyielding determination to survive and excel. The Dominion could send fleets, spies, and engineers. They could study, calculate, and predict. But one thing was certain. Humans' advantage was alive, growing, and unstoppable. The galaxy was about to witness a new truth. Underestimating humans was the greatest mistake any empire could ever make. The Zetherian Dominion's central command was a massive, spiraling station orbiting a dying star. Its halls thrummed with the energy of countless operations, filled with officers, engineers, and intelligence analysts working around the clock. Alarms flashed and holographic displays glowed red with warnings as the latest reports from the outer sectors arrived. Commander Thalion paced back and forth, his cape brushing the polished floor. His mind was heavy with frustration and fear. Every update brought more bad news. Humans were striking across the Dominion faster than any fleet could respond, adapting strategies that seemed impossible to predict, and using resources in ways the Zetherians could not understand. "Sir," a young officer spoke hesitantly, "the humans' fleet has been observed retrofitting old cargo ships into combat vessels. They are converting mining stations into defense positions, and they continue to expand their presence in nearby star systems." "It is remarkable." Thalion's eyes narrowed. "Remarkable? No, it is alarming. Humans are not supposed to be able to do this. They should be slow, predictable, and limited. Yet here they are, striking quickly, defending efficiently, and confusing our fleets at every turn." The room filled with murmurs and tension. High-ranking Zetherian officers argued about what to do next. Some suggested diplomacy, hoping to avoid direct conflict with an enemy they could not yet understand. Others demanded total aggression, insisting that only overwhelming force could contain humans. A senior strategist slammed his hand on the table. "We cannot negotiate with these humans. Every engagement shows they are capable of outthinking our fleets. If we delay, we risk losing control of multiple star systems." Thalion turned sharply. "And if we attack recklessly, we risk losing entire fleets. They are clever, unpredictable, and adaptive. Every time we plan a strike, they counter it before we can act. We are facing an enemy unlike any we have ever known." Meanwhile, in a distant sector, humans continued to demonstrate their ingenuity. Captain Alara convened a meeting with her engineers, pilots, and strategists aboard the Vigilant. "Zetherians are panicking," she said calmly. "But that does not mean we can stop improving. Our advantage comes from thinking differently, adapting faster, and using resources efficiently. We will expand our fleet, reinforce our positions, and continue exploring uncharted regions. We must remain one step ahead." Lieutenant Arik looked over the latest fleet data. "Captain, the Dominion is deploying larger formations now. They may be trying to intimidate us with numbers, but our new modular units and adaptive tactics can counter them." Ilara nodded. "Exactly. Numbers alone do not win battles. Humans survive by using their minds, ingenuity, and creativity. That is our strength." The human fleet moved through asteroid belts and dense nebulae, using the terrain to their advantage. Stealth ships darted between rocks and gas clouds, scouting and mapping potential ambush points. Mining ships converted into combat units could appear suddenly, surprising any enemy patrol. Energy shields drew power from planetary grids, giving humans more protection than conventional ships of similar size. On the Zetherian side, panic spread from fleet commanders to the High Council. Entire meetings were filled with arguments, blame, and fear. Analysts reported that humans were striking at key supply stations, retrofitting ships faster than the Dominion could destroy them, and creating defensive networks across multiple systems. One council member, a scientist responsible for studying human technology, spoke quietly. "Commander Thalion, I fear we are underestimating humans. Their designs are unconventional, efficient, and adaptive. They improvise at a speed that no training program can match. They are unpredictable." Thalion's eyes narrowed dangerously. "Unpredictable? They are dangerous, yes. But they are human. They have limits. We must focus our resources, consolidate fleets, and strike decisively. If we panic, we will lose everything." Despite Thalion's orders, panic continued to grow. High-ranking officers argued over whether to engage in diplomacy, negotiate, or launch a massive assault. Fleet deployments were delayed, confused by contradictory orders, and by the reports of humans' relentless adaptability. Back on the Vigilant, Ilara watched the stars pass by. "The Dominion is confused," she said, "and that gives us an opportunity. We are not fighting with brute force alone. Our advantage is our mind. They are terrified because they cannot predict us. That is power." Lieutenant Mara smiled faintly. "Captain, we can hit multiple systems simultaneously if we use stealth units and modular ships. They won't see us coming." Ilara nodded. "Exactly. Prepare the fleet. We move in multiple directions. Let them try to understand us. Every action we take teaches them a lesson. Humans do not follow their rules. We adapt, we improvise, and we survive." In the Zytherian Dominion, the panic reached a new peak. Commander Thalion was forced to call an emergency council meeting. Holographic maps of human movements flickered in the room, showing fleets expanding, supply lines reinforced, and orbital defenses strengthened. A general spoke urgently. "Sir, they are using planets as force multipliers. Defensive shields, mobile fleets, and even retrofitted structures. They are turning even uninhabited systems into fortified positions. If we continue like this, humans will control more territory than we can respond to." Thalion's voice was harsh. "Do not exaggerate. Humans cannot hold everything. They have limits. We must find their weaknesses and strike. Deploy all fleets immediately. No more delays!" But the reality was clear. Humans were not limited in the ways the Dominion expected. They did not rely on conventional numbers or massive warships. Their ingenuity, flexibility, and adaptability meant they could multiply their impact with minimal resources. On the Vigilant, Ilara addressed her crew. "Humans survive because we think differently. The Dominion expects patterns, predictability, and limitations. We have none of those. Our fleet is small, but it is powerful because every member, every ship, and every system can adapt. That is our advantage," Lieutenant Arik added. "Captain, reports show Dominion fleets are hesitating. They do not know where to deploy, how to counter us, or even what to expect next." "Their panic is spreading," Ilara smiled. "Exactly. Let them panic. Every moment they hesitate is a victory for us. But we cannot rely on fear alone. Humans must continue to innovate, expand, and prepare for the battles ahead." Weeks passed, and human influence across multiple star systems became undeniable. Supply depots were fortified, fleets expanded, and defensive networks strengthened. Humans were not conquering. They were building resilience and opportunity. Every encounter demonstrated their ability to turn minimal resources into maximum effect. In the Dominion, Thalion's frustration grew. "They are everywhere. They are unstoppable. How can a single species with limited technology and numbers outmaneuver our entire fleets?" A junior officer whispered, "Sir, it is their mind. Humans innovate faster, improvise better, and think differently. That is why they survive even against overwhelming odds." Thalion clenched his fists. "We will not be defeated by creativity alone. Mobilize all forces, strike hard, and ensure no human survives to spread their ingenuity further." But even as he spoke, reports continued to arrive. Human fleets appeared unexpectedly, securing systems, defending settlements, and demonstrating tactical brilliance. Every engagement reinforced one truth: humans were not ordinary. They were adaptive, courageous, and clever beyond the Dominion's expectations. On the Vigilant, Ilara addressed her crew again. "The Dominion may bring all its fleets. They may try to overwhelm us with numbers and firepower. But humans survive not because of weapons alone, not because of numbers, but because we adapt, innovate, and work together. That is why we are unstoppable." Lieutenant Mara added, "Captain, every system we secure, every fleet we train, every strategy we implement increases our advantage. The Dominion cannot keep up," Ilara nodded. "Yes, and they will continue to panic. But we must remain vigilant. Humans survive because we are ready for every possibility, and we learn faster than anyone expects." The stars stretched endlessly ahead, filled with unknown dangers, opportunities, and discoveries. Humans moved forward with confidence, knowing that their ingenuity and adaptability were more powerful than any empire's fleets. The Dominion may panic, but humans would continue to thrive, expand, and explore. And as the Dominion struggled to regain control, Captain Ilara smiled faintly. She knew one truth with certainty. Humans' greatest weapon was not technology or numbers, but their mind, their courage, and their ability to adapt. The galaxy would soon learn that humans cannot be underestimated. The panic in the Zytherian Dominion continued to grow, but humans remained steady, prepared and ready for whatever challenges awaited them in the stars. The edge of Zetherian space was dark, silent, and foreboding. Stars glittered faintly, distant suns lighting the void with cold brilliance. Captain Alara stood on the bridge of the Vigilant, her eyes scanning the vast emptiness ahead. The reports were clear. The Dominion had launched a massive fleet intent on crushing humans before their influence spread any further. Thousands of Zetherian warships moved in formation, confident that sheer numbers and firepower would overwhelm the smaller human fleet. Yet humans were not afraid. They had faced impossible odds before. They had survived and thrived because they thought differently, adapted faster, and acted boldly when others hesitated. Today would be no different. Lieutenant Arik approached, tension in his voice but determination in his eyes. "Captain, all fleets are in position. The Dominion is closing in. They expect us to flee, to surrender, but we're ready." Alara nodded. "Humans do not surrender, Arik. We survive, we adapt, and we fight with ingenuity. That is our advantage. Let them underestimate us one last time." The human fleet, though smaller, was meticulously organized. Every ship, every crew member, every energy system was prepared to act in ways that the Zetherians could not predict. They had converted mining vessels into stealth fighters, retrofitted cargo ships into attack units, and linked planetary power grids to their shields for unprecedented protection. Every advantage, every resource, was utilized with precision. The Dominion fleet approached, confident and arrogant. Commander Thalion's voice carried over the comms, stern and commanding. "Humans, surrender now. Your resistance is futile. Our numbers are overwhelming, and your defenses are insufficient. Stand down or be destroyed." Alara's voice was calm, steady, and confident. "Commander Thalion, humans do not surrender. We survive by thinking differently, acting boldly, and adapting faster than any enemy expects. If you wish to learn why humans cannot be underestimated, prepare to find out." The first engagement was sudden and intense. Zetherian energy beams cut through the darkness, targeting the human ships. But the humans had prepared for this. The Vigilant and its fleet moved unpredictably, adaptive shields absorbing attacks, while decoy drones diverted the Dominion's fire. Small human ships darted between larger vessels, creating confusion in the enemy ranks. Lieutenant Mara piloted one of the stealth fighters, weaving through the chaos with precision. "Captain, the Dominion ships are falling into disarray. Their formations are breaking under our maneuvers," Alara nodded. "Good. Keep up the pressure. Remember, this is not about brute force, it is about thinking, improvising, and striking where they least expect it." Human ships moved with coordination that seemed almost instinctive. They exploited asteroid fields, using them as cover, and drew the Dominion fleet into traps where energy fields from nearby planets amplified their defenses. A small squadron of human fighters used gravitational anomalies to create unexpected blind spots, allowing them to disable Zetherian vessels without direct confrontation. Commander Thalion watched in disbelief as his massive fleet struggled to adapt. "Impossible," he muttered. "They should not have the resources, the knowledge, or the skill. And yet, they outmaneuver us at every turn." The humans' most brilliant move came when a modified cargo ship, disguised as a decoy, infiltrated the Dominion's main formation. Its energy signature mimicked a small human unit, drawing the Zetherians' focus. Hidden within, engineers activated a device that emitted a powerful electromagnetic pulse, temporarily disabling the Dominion flagship's shields and communication systems. Alara watched the readouts with satisfaction. "Now, Arik, target the flagship." Arik's fingers flew over the controls, and a coordinated strike from multiple human ships hit the flagship precisely where the shields were weakest. The result was immediate and devastating. The flagship lost control and the surrounding fleet fell into confusion. "Captain," Mara reported, "their formation is collapsing. They are retreating." Ilara's smile was quiet but triumphant. "Good, but remain vigilant. The Dominion is powerful. They will regroup." Even as the Dominion retreated, humans demonstrated their ingenuity by reinforcing captured positions, repairing damaged ships quickly, and ensuring no lives were lost unnecessarily. Unlike the Dominion, humans valued every crew member, every resource, and every strategic advantage. Their success was not only in winning battles, but in thinking beyond conventional warfare. Back on the Dominion station, Commander Thalion faced his council. How is this possible, he asked, voice trembling. They are fewer, slower, and yet they control the battlefield. Every move we make, they anticipate. Every strategy we deploy, they counter. A senior officer spoke hesitantly. Sir, it is their minds. Humans do not fight like we expect. They adapt, improvise, and coordinate in ways that are unpredictable. They are cleverer than any threat we have encountered. Thalion's face darkened. Clever or not, they are human. They have limits, but perhaps we have underestimated them, dangerously so. Meanwhile, Captain Alara ordered her fleet to regroup and expand their presence in the sectors they had defended. Supply lines were secured, new outposts established, and fleets prepared for future threats. Humans did not celebrate recklessly. They understood that survival depended on constant vigilance and improvement. Captain, Arik said, the Dominion may attempt another strike. Their panic is clear, but they will not give up easily. Alara nodded. Let them try. Humans survive because we do not rely solely on numbers or firepower. We rely on our minds, our courage, and our adaptability. That is why they panic and why we triumph. In the following weeks, humans consolidated their influence across multiple star systems. Planets previously vulnerable became strongholds. Fleets expanded and adapted, incorporating new technologies discovered during previous skirmishes. The Dominion, despite its massive fleets, found itself unable to predict, control, or contain human movements. Commander Thalion admitted privately to a trusted advisor, "They are extraordinary. Humans are not like any species we have encountered. Their creativity, their adaptability, it is terrifying. We cannot defeat them in the conventional way. We can only hope to survive." The humans, however, had no doubts. Captain Alara led them with confidence, her crew inspired by their successes and their ingenuity. Humans had demonstrated that survival was not just about power, it was about thinking differently, using resources creatively and acting boldly when others hesitated. One evening aboard the Vigilant, Alara gathered her senior officers. "We have won today, but this is only the beginning. The Dominion may strike again, but remember this. Humans survive because we think, adapt, and overcome. Every challenge strengthens us. Every battle teaches us, and no empire, no matter how vast, can match our spirit and ingenuity." Mara smiled. "Captain, we have proven that humans cannot be underestimated. The Dominion fears us because they cannot predict us." Alara nodded. "Exactly. And that fear is ours to use wisely. We will continue to explore, defend, and innovate. Humanity is unstoppable when we work together, when we think creatively, and when we refuse to surrender." The stars stretched endlessly ahead, promising adventure, danger, and discovery. The humans moved forward, ready for whatever the galaxy could throw at them. They had faced overwhelming odds, survived, and emerged victorious, not through brute force, but through the brilliance of the human mind and the courage of their spirit. Commander Thalion's fleet retreated, humbled and wary, carrying the knowledge that humans were unlike any enemy the Dominion had faced. Across the galaxy, the Dominion whispered rumors of the humans' ingenuity, and fear spread through their ranks. Humans could not be predicted, controlled, or defeated by conventional means. And on the Vigilant, Captain Alara looked out at the stars, a quiet pride in her eyes. She knew one thing with certainty. Humans' greatest strength was not their ships or their weapons. It was their minds, their creativity, and their unyielding determination to survive and excel. The galaxy had changed forever. Humans had arrived not as conquerors, but as innovators, survivors, and pioneers. Every empire, every fleet, every civilization would learn the same lesson: never underestimate humanity. And so, as the Vigilant and its fleet sailed into the uncharted stars, The humans prepared for the future, undaunted, fearless, and unstoppable. Their story was only beginning, and the universe would never be the same.